The anniversary waltz, that's the music for weddings, isn't it? But church anniversaries are music to congregations as they celebrate their past and they look forward to their future. There's a church here in Austin that's done it. There's another one that's about to do it. Let's learn from these folks how it's to be done and may be of use to you as we're joining together now on Austin Faith Dialogue.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life, a series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello. I'm Richard Thompson in behalf of the Austin Area Interreligious Ministries. And as we welcome you to the show today, it's with the thought of how to do anniversaries for congregations. It's a time to celebrate the past. It's also a time to look ahead to the future. It's a time which, in the First Presbyterian Church of Austin's case, celebrated 150 years. In the case of the Congregational Church of Austin, they are soon to celebrate their 100th. So with two folks today to help us understand how this is done, I welcome Gwen Scott from First Presbyterian Church.
Good evening.
And also Vic Appel from the Congregational Church.
Good evening, Rich.
And really looking forward to having you share a little information with us about, how anniversary events are held and what you did, for instance, beginning with you, is last year, wasn't it?
Yes, we celebrated for a whole year with different events that normally happen within our church. Mm-hmm. And our main thrust, the fun time, the thankful time, was on Friday night, May 26th, which is the anniversary, 150th of our church. Mm-hmm. It was founded May 26, 1850. Mm-hmm. And on Sunday night, that night, after our big picnic dinner, the children had we had a horse and buggy. We had a petting zoo for all the children. Okay. We had a lot of the fishing in the pond games that they played many years ago. They enjoyed it. After we had finished with that, we into the church for a festival of music. Mm-hmm. And our music director, Kenley Lang, did a superb job.
Okay.
And I want to tell you that he and Lee Bowman, who was one of our associate pastors, she wrote the text and he wrote the tune. And the name of it was Never Ending Covenant. Uh-huh. Never Ending Covenant.
So it's a song for the occasion.
Yes, it was written especially for the occasion. It's most meaningful. And I hope and I do believe it will be played many, many times.
Maybe the next 150th.
I won't be here then, but it will be played.
Vic, now tell us about the plans in the works for the Congregational Church, when that's going to be.
Well, we, like Gwen's church, have been planning this for a year, and we will be celebrating our 100th anniversary April 1st of this year. So we really we're coming up on that very quickly, about a month to go. We have had a standing centennial committee that has been at work, and we have been meeting to make plans for it, but we have also, to remind our congregation of it, tried to every month have some kind of incident, some kind of episode that we could tell the congregation about that is part of our history and background.
I see.
And we've done something to keep them alert to the fact that we are coming up on our 100th year.
Sure.
And some of the things that have been significant little vignettes of activities in the past.
All right. Now, in the first half of the show, I think what we'll do, Gwen, is just show some of the pictures that you used in your celebration. Second half, we'll be looking at some from the Congregational, but this first one is of your first building, wasn't it?
Well, I should have my glasses on.
It's the
This is the old Capitol building
Capitol.
where the 5 people organized First Presbyterian Church, May 26, 1850.
Okay. And then this was succeeded by this building downtown.
Yes. Well, prior to the stone structure, we had they had a wooden building. I don't think that's up there. Is this the stone structure?
This is, I
s-
believe, the
I
one
see it
from,
now. Yes, from 7th and Lavaca.
From what year was that?
It was built in 1890, and the church was there through 1960
Okay.
when it moved suburbs to Jackson Avenue.
And then the next one shows us where it is today.
Yes, that is on Mesa Drive, and we have been there since 1978.
Mm-hmm. And this is in terms of just housing the folks. But in terms of what was going on in those houses of worship over that long period of time, what were some of the things that you said made the history of First Presbyterian Church significant?
One of the first things is Austin was not too old when we organized. And at the time we organized, if our records are correct, if you can believe it, the population was less than 700. Abner Cook was one of our first elders. He
The one who built the governor's mansion.
built the governor's mansion and built the stone structure and the wood structure, the first two, and gave the land. And I believe the church in 1890, I think that when it was finished, it was paid for. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
That's foreign to today.
don't hear that very often today, do
No,
you?
we don't.
What about the housing of where is First Congregational Church located?
Well, the
Or
Congregational
Church
Church
of
of Austin
Austin,
is located at 23rd and San Antonio Street, just one block west of the drag in the university area.
And it's been there since what year?
It's been there since 1923. We actually had a first site downtown, and that opened in 1901, and then we moved to its current location where we've been for the last 75 years.
I see. Okay. I think as we look at this next series of pictures, Gwen, this gives you back to the First Presbyterian Church, the interior view.
Yes. This is a picture of our almost 100-year-old organ, tracker organ, that the congregation affectionately calls Oscar. We have one of our outreach is our St. Cecilia music series, and our organist, Scott McNulty, has many interesting programs to offer to our community.
Here we can see the stained glass windows on the other side of the
Yes.
sanctuary. Those are very distinctive, aren't they?
Yes, and they are living memorials of the people in the church that went before. It's a demonstration of the good way that they spent their memorials on stained glass windows. We are still using the silver flagon that we use in our communion, and the date on it is 1881.
Okay.
So that is meaningful to me.
There's one other picture here of one of your stained glass windows up close. This is the Garden of Gethsemane, I presume,
I
of
would
Jesus in
think
the
so.
garden,
Yes.
and gives a sense of this color and one of the number of windows that you have there.
Yes.
Now, Vic, at your church, you've got stained glass windows that go back a ways that remember folks, do they not?
Exactly. We've done really essentially the same
Yes,
thing.
I didn't
And
mention that.
our stained glass windows date back to our original structure in 1901. And we have them, of course, in our sanctuary. And as we built the new structure there at 23rd and San Antonio Street, we explicitly tried to build the sanctuary to fit with the stained glass windows.
Now, it seems to me that's one thing that the two churches have in common.
Yes, we do. Ours were in the original stone structure, and they were in storage for 16 years when we were at Jackson. So when this church was started, that was one of the things that the congregation wanted. They wanted to make good use of all the windows, and we feel the architect did a beautiful job of arranging them and making the whole wall of windows on the west side.
I think it's significant that your church went through an intermediate step from downtown to where you are out on Mesa.
Yes, that was at Jackson.
This is at Jackson in proximity to Westminster Manor.
Yes, and we had our church had a great deal to starting Westminster Manor.
Part of your mission outreach,
Yes,
eh?
it was, and it still is. We have a limousine that is given to us for our use to just on Sunday morning to pick these people up from Westminster Manor that no longer drive.
I see.
And that's our ministry also.
Wanted to say, too, as part of your celebration, you brought something with you?
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
did.
I'm going to help
Yes,
you
I
display
did.
this.
Okay.
And we'll
Thank
get
you.
a camera on this and let
All right.
people see it. And
Our theme of our church is a light in Austin since 1850s. And when we were making all of our plans, that was one of the things that we wanted to decide. Did we want a special theme to carry throughout? And we feel that a light in Austin since 150 years, it means it's old. We've been there a long time. But God's light, we feel, shines through the people there at First Church and gives us hope. And it enriches the community in providing a place of quiet and peace, tranquility.
and enlightenment. Let
Yes.
me take a
Yes.
look at this.
Okay.
Now, if I had been celebrating with you and I had wanted to get one of these,
I'll still sell you one. We still have some left.
you're going to sell it to me. Oh, my God.
Yes.
What other
course.
kinds of mementos did you have to celebrate?
Are you talking about our artifacts? Is that what you?
I tell you what, why don't you hold that, because we're just
Okay.
about to take a break here. But
Okay.
I think, Vic, you can give some thought as we come into the second half about the sort of things in way of artifacts, and people can remember the past in terms of what they see and feel and hold. But let's hold that for a moment, and you folks be with us as we come back in just a minute to this celebration of congregation's history. Welcome back to Austin Faith Dialogue, where today we're considering the whole issue of how to celebrate the life of a congregation upon its anniversary. We have with us Gwen Scott from First Presbyterian Church. That congregation celebrated their 150th last year. Coming up next month will be the 100th anniversary of the Congregational Church of Austin. So thank you again, Gwen and Vic, for being here.
Yes.
Vic, this upcoming celebration, what are going to be some of the main events connected to that?
Well, the main event will be the weekend of March 31st and April 1st. March 31st is a Saturday evening. We're going to have a banquet. We will be assembling not only our current members and past members, but we'll probably have about 6 or 7 clergy persons past involved with our church in one capacity or another. Mostly were the previous pastors for probably the last 4. We will on Sunday have a important service and have a religious celebration of that. So those are the real central focus, where we are expecting to have well over 125 people who will be coming for that service.
Now, some folks coming from some distance too, I understand.
As a matter of fact, they're not only coming from different states and different parts of Texas. They're coming. We have several coming from England who are currently living in England and are coming here for that occasion.
One time having
It's
a part
very
of the
important thing to them.
Yeah. Let's take a look at a picture or two here of this is the building as it is today, and there at 23rd in San Antonio, you say it's located. And as we look at the next couple here, I see this is from the, I recall this was from, I think you said the 75th anniversary.
That's right.
Back in 1970s.
Right.
And then we have interior view here. This is the way the church has looked since 1923.
Well, it's probably early how it looked. It's a little bare now. The altar is quite different now. We have some lovely tapestry that hangs in the front along with cross and candles.
So it's changed since then, okay.
Sure.
All right. I think that the thing about the interior of the church, with the memories that are associated with that, that you'll be recollecting. But it seems to me one of the things is you're going to be celebrating not only the past worship, but the ministries of this church. What are some of them?
Well, as a matter of fact, we're particularly proud of the ministries that our church has had. We have felt that one of the special ways that we could serve, since we are a small church, approximately 100 members, we could extend our impact in the community by donating space. And we have donated space starting back that I recall in the 70s for something called the Raft, which was a place for homeless runaway teenagers. We, for probably the best known one, was the one that followed, which is the People's Clinic of Austin. And they stayed...
the People's Community Clinic.
The People's Community Clinic. And we really helped make that organization viable by providing them probably about 2,000 square feet in our basement that they could set up for handling medical services of all kinds to people who were unable to afford a regular physician.
All right.
We followed that with a additional group of individuals who have come, something called the Phase Project, which helped feeding and provided health education for the homeless. We have at various times provided a setting for 2 different church groups who have worshiped in our sanctuary essentially on Sunday afternoons, and so we have shared that space with these startup organizations.
The space and the mission are together in that regard.
Exactly.
Gwen, I'd like to have you say a little bit about since you're in the past tense in terms
Yes.
of what this celebration, this anniversary event has meant to people. What difference has it made to folks?
Well, this afforded us an opportunity to teach them and about our past from our artifacts, from our records. On Sunday, the 28th, in the morning at 10 o'clock between services, we had a display of all of our artifacts. We had our time capsule was closed, and one of our members was dressed in olden times, and she announced that she was Evelyn Wright Bell, who she was being the wife of the minister that was at the church at 7th and Lavaca for over 30
So
years.
this is recreation of the
Yes,
historical.
yes, so
person.
that was a part of it. Then we had cake.
But now, in terms of what it meant to folks.
Oh, what it meant to
Yeah,
folks,
I mean,
okay.
They say, are we glad we did it? I mean, has it changed
Yes.
my life?
Yes.
What-
Well, one thing it's changed. One of our events during our celebration year was a field trip for our young children to Jordan Bachman Farm.
Okay.
The Jim Bell House is located there. He was an early member of the church. He sat on the Texas Supreme Court. And his daughter, Evelyn, he was an elder, of course, but he was a very important and effective member of the church, according to the records that are written on him. And something I learned in reading about him again, I was not aware that the Republican Party got its start the first time in 1867. He was instrumental. James Bell was instrumental in getting 150 African Americans and 20 whites people and forming the Republican Party in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
Did
I
you
see.
know that?
I did not.
I didn't either.
Thank you for informing us about that.
I thought it was interesting in view of our present history with our national
Right. Okay.
parties.
And isn't there in the history of the Congregational Church, there's something in terms of the race relations that was part of that.
As a matter of fact, our denomination has been traces itself back to the Pilgrims who arrived at Plymouth Rock in 1620.
Okay.
But during the Civil War years, many prominent Congregationalists were abolitionists who assisted some blacks to go along the Underground Railroad to freedom from places in the South.
So what about in Austin, though? Has there been the continuing?
Oh, indeed there
commitment
has.
to racial equality?
Our denomination has a very strong emphasis in education. We have especially been active in providing education for blacks who, for a long time, were not able to participate in the schools that were available to whites.
What about
And
here in
so-
Austin?
And here in Austin, of course, we have been the founder of the Houston half of Houston Tillotson, continue to support it. We've had several members of our congregation who have served as chairman of their board of directors. We have actively supported that college with funds and with participation among our membership.
So the Congregational Church had a role in playing the founding of Houston Tillotson.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
And 85 other colleges and universities across this country, including Harvard and Yale.
Okay. Well, let's take a look again, just locally here. We've got another just quick view of the interior of the church, looking out onto 23rd Street. And here is your celebration, I think, was your 75th.
Absolutely, yes. This was the 75th anniversary. And we also were very pleased at about that same time to have a burning of the mortgage because we had built an additional
Oh, yes.
education annex.
Right.
And so we were able to have a special joyous celebration to burn up that
It didn't
second
take
mortgage.
you 75 years to burn the mortgage for the first building, though.
No.
I think there's a final view here of newspaper column that talks about the People's Free Clinic,
Yes.
which is that People's Community Clinic that you were talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Gwen, in the last couple of minutes we have, what do you think is the value that your celebration last year has had as far as your church looking to the future?
Well, I think our historical society has been very effective in trying to educate our members about our past.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that if we know the past, then we can be more effective in our future development.
Okay.
And our church has been in a construction program for the past, I don't know how long, 2, 3 years.
Lost count, huh?
Hopefully we will be finished by sometime in April. And this will give us an opportunity to keep our records up to date. As one of our past ministers, Bob Bruce, said, we are rooted in the past and are looking forward to the future.
Okay. What about, you know, you haven't had the celebration quite yet. What do you think this anniversary could mean for the future of the Congregational Church?
Well, I think it's going to mean a great deal. I share with Gwen the belief that understanding the past helps us as we chart the future. I think that it is particularly important, though, as we have this gathering. Ours is a relatively small church, and so it will be more like a family reunion for our church. We are an extended family. We're particularly close, and so we will have a chance not only to learn about our history by looking at our artifacts, we will have a chance to participate with the individuals who actually made that history.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things I've noticed is had a chance to get to know a little bit about that church, that one of the social emphasis you've had is open and affirming. People of no matter what their sexual orientation, it's in the midst of a world where there's a good bit of discrimination in that regard. That is distinctive. And Hugo Kuhn, the great architect, I know was a part of that church.
Yeah.
We are just in the last few seconds. It gives me enough time to say that we wish we could have been at your anniversary.
I wish you could have too.
And I look forward to being at your anniversary. I mean, people can come on the 23rd in San Antonio, and we look forward to having you folks come back again with us next week on our next edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Richard Thompson, and peace be with you.